Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for coming today. I want to introduce our very special alumni and keynote speaker, Thomas Bressler. Thomas?
Man, welcome back to the real world. It's so nice to be here today. Before I get started, I definitely want to say thank you to Trish, thank you to the Milgard staff, thank you to all the speakers, thank you to all the volunteers that made this happen today. I am beyond appreciative whenever I get the chance to come home. And it doesn't matter where I live, it doesn't matter where I go. When I think of home, I think of Tacoma. And when I think of the greatest experiences I had while I was in Tacoma, they were right here. Again, like Trish said, if you don't know anything about me, again, my name is Thomas Bressler. I work for Microsoft. I'm a senior program manager. Currently within their Azure Data and Insights and Learnings team. Starting on Monday, I'm actually transitioning over to a product group. I'll be working with the teams on product launches. So I'm super excited to get started on something new. I'm from the Northwest, born and raised, graduated from Mount Tacoma High School in the South End, 2003. Went to Pierce College, transferred to UW Tacoma. So when I say I'm born and bred in Tacoma, I mean, and Tacoma's in my heart. I mean that with everything that I got. I'm just thrilled and happy to be here today. And I'll be honest with you, because I do a lot of events. I do a lot of speaking engagements. This is always my favorite one. Because in my humblest of opinions, I say this is where greatness happens. My journey and wherever I've succeeded in life, it all started right here. And I have the utmost respect and admiration for every single person sitting in this room today. And I mean that. And the reason why I say that is because I sat in those seats. I've walked these halls. I've driven around this neighborhood 20 million times trying to find parking. Trying to running up and down these hills trying to get to class. I'm gonna lie, I was walking down the hill, I got low-key butterflies in my stomach, I'm walking to class and I forgot an assignment was due or there's a test today that I wasn't quite prepared for. And that's funny how I think that's a feeling that never leaves. But again, so thank you all for being here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure you lean in. I am so humbled to even be speaking. I looked at the lineup of the people that Trish and the Success Center has coming today. There are vice presidents. I believe there's a COO. There is a branch manager. I mean, you got some heavy hitters coming here today. So do me a favor and do yourself a favor. Lean in. Don't just sit in the back quietly. Don't just sit in the back idly. Take advantage of this. You have some people with experiences, some people that have been through some stuff, some people that have reached levels of success that are willing to share their journey, willing to share their story, ask questions, get engaged, and don't let this day just slip by you. All right. So I thought about a lot of different things that we could talk about today. I do lessons on personal branding. We talk about resume building, networking, how to find a job during COVID. But when I really think about what would be the most value add in my humblest of opinions is that I don't care where you're at in life. I don't care where you started, where you're going, where you're at. In my 36 years on this earth, there's one thing that I only know for sure, is that you're going to reach and hit some adversity at some point in your life. I heard a saying that you're either just coming out of some adversity, currently in some adversity, or there's a storm coming on the way that's going to bring some adversity and struggle into your life. And your ability to persevere, your ability to believe when no one else believes is what's going to, what I believe is that's going to be the difference between someone being average, someone being good, and someone being great. When I look around this room, I see greatness. The fact that you're here today, despite everything that's going on in the world, that means you have greatness in you. And it's not my job to tell you what to do to succeed, because I believe there are so many paths to success. Success looks like so many different things to so many different people. I would never stand here and say, if you follow these things, you will be successful. It's not what I believe. But I do believe that if I do have a job, it's to try to motivate you and inspire you to not only recognize that you have greatness within you, but then to help you pull that out in whatever form or fashion that looks like. So when I think of it, again, I wanted to center the speech around perseverance in the face of adversity and the ability to believe in yourself when no one else does. And I thought this was super fitting given the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're just getting back into school, and again, adversity doesn't come when it's convenient. Let's be honest, struggle, pain, that doesn't come when it's convenient. It comes when it comes. And your ability to adapt, your ability to persevere, your ability to show grit, I truly believe is going to be the difference between people making it and people being stuck where they're at. All right, so adversity, a state or instance of serious or continued difficulty or misfortune. I heard a story. There was a young man, a young boy walking through the woods, saw a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. Saw the butterfly struggling to get out. The young man, the young boy, being a good person, saw this butterfly struggling, walked up, grabbed out his pocket knife, and slid open the cocoon so the butterfly could get out. And what happened was the butterfly, instead of flying out of the cocoon, fell to the ground and fluttered along the ground. And even though the young man's intent was in the right place, what he didn't understand is that the butterfly needed the strength that it was gathering to get out of the cocoon, needed that struggle to give it the right amount of strength to be able to fly. And by him cutting it open, cutting the cocoon open, the butterfly didn't actually fully develop. Right? So even though his intent was good and he was just trying to help, he actually ended up hurting the butterfly more than he helped. And that's something that really, really resonated with me when I heard it, to be honest with you, because at the end of the day, I've been very blessed and I've been very fortunate. And I truly believe I am the man I am today and the character that I have today, and I live with integrity, I respect others, I work hard, I take care of my family, and I am the way I am because of the struggles and the adversity that I have faced over my life. Yeah, I feel blessed and I feel fortunate and I feel appreciative that I was able to go through some things that helped mold me in the type of person that doesn't give up, that goes after what I want, understands that I'm not going to always get that, but how do I act and react to those type of situations? One of my favorite people in the entire world, Oprah. I mean, one thing, and just a low-key some advice, if you want to be great, study the greats. I mean, there's people in this world that, everyone's got a phone, everybody's got YouTube, everybody has Amazon, I'm assuming. So, if you really want to be great, the first step to greatness, in my opinion, is success, is studying the ones that did it. Because they, a lot of time, have the blueprint. Oprah, man, she went through so much in her life. She was sexually abused when she was a kid, grew up poor, got fired from her dream job when she started her career, was told that she'll never make it in the industry. She didn't have the look. And now she's the first African American to own, one of the biggest production companies in the world, worth billions of dollars, impacts millions of lives. And something that she said that really stuck with me was, when there is no struggle, there is no strength. So instead of being a victim, she turned it into success. Instead of saying, I'm not going to make it because of these things happened to me, or this person said this about me, she turned it into success. And she let it lay the foundation in which she built that success on. And again, the reason why her story resonates with me so much is that, I'll be honest with you, I come from humble beginnings. Low income, diverse community, mother, father got divorced when I was 4 years old. My father ended up getting custody of my two older brothers and my younger sister. Within all the strength that it takes to be a single father raising 4 kids in a bad neighborhood that's with crime infested, drug dealers everywhere, he had demons. He had some demons inside. And the way he handled those demons is he liked to drink. And he would turn into a mean drunk. He was what we would label an abusive alcoholic. So from the age from where I can even remember, me and my siblings, our household was led by fear. You never knew what was going to happen when those drinks started flowing. You don't know who was going to come out. So I faced a lot of physical, mental, verbal abuse growing up. Just a real quick story. So I was, but these were the moments that defined me. So I just wanted to share a quick story with you guys. So I was about 14 years old, freshman in high school, feeling myself. There was this beautiful girl in one of my classes. And in back in my day, there was no social media. No one had cell phones. No one, you couldn't just DM somebody. You couldn't just hit them on the gram. Like, you actually had to walk up and be like, "Hi, my name's Thomas. I think you're beautiful. Can I please get your phone number?" And maybe a good time to call you, because, back in the day, you had to call someone's home. And you sitting there praying that her daddy don't pick up. you know what I mean? So, I finally get this young lady's number. And I'm feeling good. And again, we didn't have no cell phone, so it wasn't just like, "Here, let me give you my number real quick." What we would do is we would write it on our hand. So she grabbed my hand, she wrote a number. I'm like, "All right, I ain't washing this hand until I get home." I'm gonna get home as fast as I can. I'm gonna write this down. I was just on cloud 9. I think it was the first number I've ever even got. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I had game and I was all suave. I was not. I was awkward. So just to get a girl's number was the highlight of my freshman year. But I get home, my dad's already home. I get in the door, he goes, "Who's here?" I'm like, "Oh, it's me, Dad. It's Thomas." He's like, "Well, go get me a beer." I'm like, "Yeah, I got you. No worries." Go grab my dad a beer, hand him, pour it, whoop, we're good, hand it over to him, and he sees the number on my hand. And for him, that was an instant click. He was like, "Oh, you got a tattoo." I'm like, "Oh, no, Dad, he's drunk. I could tell by the way he's slurring." I'm like, no. And before I could explain myself, he's like, "No, that's a tattoo. You join a gang? Is that what we're doing now?" I'm like, no. So I go to wash it off. So I go run to the bathroom, wash it off, scrub it out, and I go back to show him. And at that moment, he grabs me, and he throws me across the room. He starts hitting me a little bit, and which was nothing unusual, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be real. My dad wasn't abusive. One time he threw my sister down so hard, she broke her collarbone. You walk in my house, you see holes in the walls. And it wasn't from paintings or someone get punching it. It was from him grabbing us and hitting us up against the wall and breaking through the sheetrock. So this was actually nothing new. This is something I was used to. But this time was a little bit different. And what he did is that he grabbed me, he put me on the bed, and he started putting his hands around my neck and starting to push down. And at this point, I'm feeling the whole weight of a grown man, and I'm only 14 years old, pushing down on my chest. I'm feeling the last few breaths that I have leave my body. And I'll be honest with y'all, in that moment, I didn't fight, I didn't struggle, I wasn't worried. I wanted it. I'll be honest with y'all. After 10 years, 15 years of abuse, I was like, this is going to end this. I can't even live in fear no more. I don't want to have to, walk into my house every day worried about what's going to happen. That's supposed to be your safe haven. I don't want to have to live under the pressures if I don't bring an A home from class that I'm gonna get beat down. I couldn't handle the abuse. And my dad he would say crazy stuff to me. He'd be like, "You know what? I'm glad I have 2 other boys because they're going to be successful in life. You're a lost cause. When you go to jail, not if you go to jail," he said, "when you go to jail, don't call me. I will not pick up. Matter of fact, I should have stopped at 2 kids. And I heard this my entire life. You ain't going to be nothing. You ain't going to end up nothing." And so, you hear that your whole life, you start to believe it. As much as you don't want to, and this guy's a little bit crazy, you start to believe it. So, in the moment, as he has his hands around my neck, I'm actually wanting it. I'm like, "Go ahead. Do us both a favor." You know what I mean? I feel like you don't want me here. I ain't trying to be here. Let's get this done. And just as the last view set starts closing in, almost like a movie, and it starts going dark, my 2 brothers bust in the room and tackle him off of me. And I'm so thankful that they happened to be there that day. They could have been at soccer practice, but they just happened to be home, and they happened to save my life. And I'll be honest, I went to school the next day like nothing happened. My dad didn't even remember it the next day. This is another Tuesday, just another Tuesday in the Bressler household. And that day, I used to run cross country. And cross country, we wear singlets, which is like a tank top. So I went to practice. I'm going to throw her a little bit, but I'm good. We had cross country practice. We got city finals coming up. And so I just go to school the next day. No thing. And then the day after, I'm in class, and I see someone walk into the class, hand the teacher a note. Mr. Bressler, they need you in the principal's office. And you know how that goes. Everybody be like, ooh. I'm like, oh. And I'm in my head thinking, feeling guilty, like, dang, what'd I do? Like, I don't feel like I did anything. I get into the principal's office. There's a social worker. There's the administrator. And there's a police officer. And I'm like, oh, man, I must have really did something this time. Like, and so they sit me down, and they go, we need to see your neck. So I pull out my neck like this, and they can see the handprints around my neck. I didn't even notice it. I'll be real with you guys. I had no idea they were there. So they see the handprints around my neck. And, you know, growing up with an abusive alcoholic, you used to lying. Like, incidents happen, and, I mean, whether it's the psychology behind you love your abuser, I didn't want to see nothing bad happen to my dad. I didn't want my family to break up. I knew kids in foster care that had it way worse, and I was like, I ain't trying to do that. Like, we okay. And so immediately I jumped into, like, flight mode. Was like, oh, me and my brother, we were wrestling, and it got out. They're like, your older brother already told us what happened. Like, we're not here to discuss if it happened, we know that it happened. Now, you have two options. You can either find somewhere to live, or you can come with us. And by coming with us, they mean go into foster care. And I was like, not me. So I was like, I'll call my grandmother, who lives in West Seattle as well. And I'm like, he was like, well, do they know where she lives? Or does your father know where she lives? I'm like, yeah, you can't go there. And this is where my mother actually walking out actually really benefited me once in my life. So my mother lived in Tacoma, and my dad had no idea where they lived. I'd maybe see my mom like once or twice a year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those type of events. And so I'm like, well, I can go live with my mother. So then that's what they do. They send me down to my mother's house for 2 weeks to do an investigation. They come to the conclusion that this is not a safe environment. They said my two older brothers, they're big enough to defend themselves, so they can stay, but me and my younger sister, we got to go. So that's how I actually came to Tacoma. And I'll be real with you guys, man, I didn't handle that adversity well at all. Like, you know, I started making really bad decisions. I started getting that victim mentality, like nothing's my fault. My grades started slipping. I was a junior Olympic athlete, ranked 16th in the nation in cross country, gold medalist in track. I was captain of the soccer team for the Olympic developmental program, the state team. Like, I mean, I was in drama classes, chess class. Like, I was involved. I gave up everything. I just quit. I don't know what it was, if he broke something in me, or I just couldn't find the motivation to do that stuff anymore, but I quit. And I found myself making really poor decisions. But again, life has a way of, when it knocks you down, it gives you an opportunity to get up. And what happened in Tacoma was, and I don't know, is anybody familiar with the south end of Tacoma? Like, all right, so you feel me? It's an interesting place. Like, if you want to get in trouble in south end of Tacoma, you're going to find trouble. And trouble going to find you. And that's what happened. End of sophomore year, I ended up, and this is why I knew I made some poor decisions. I ended up handcuffed in the back of a police car on campus, Mount Tacoma High School, on the verge of getting called an emergency expulsion. We got in some trouble with some guys that decided to steal some alcohol. I was in the car, therefore I'm an accomplice. I'm going to juvie with them. And I remember sitting in the back of this police car, handcuffed, just sitting there, and the police officer was leaning up against the window, and it was cracked. He was like, I just want to congratulate you for ruining your life. Like, good job. And he was like, it was probably just a matter of time, so let's, might as well just get it out of the way now. And I'm thinking this is the bottom. This is it. Like, and I'm more disappointed in myself than anything else, because I proved my dad right. Like, I just kept repeating that in my head, like, I can't believe I just proved him right. But again, I have blessings. So instead of sending me to juvenile juvie, I got to go through diversion court. I don't know if anybody's familiar with diversion court, but diversion court essentially is like your last chance. Like, they're giving you a last chance, essentially. They say, like, look, some things have happened in your life. You look like, you seem like you have some opportunity to do right. So we're not going to, instead of sending you to juvie, we're going to send you to diversion court, which it's almost like a... Oh, can you guys hear me still? Okay, so it's almost like a panel. So instead of going in front of a judge, you go in front of a panel. So now I'm sitting in front of 5 people, 5 strangers that literally are going to determine what's going to happen with my life. Like, whether I go to jail or go to juvie, detention center, get expelled from Mount Tacoma and have to go to one of the alternative schools. And, we go through the whole situation. This was the first time in my life that I didn't blame anybody. They kept asking me, like, what happened? I was like, I was with a bunch of guys. I knew what they was doing was wrong. I should have got out of the car. I didn't, and now we're here. But I told them, I promise you, if you give me a second chance, it'll be the best second chance you've ever given anybody. And they were like, okay, we'll give you a second chance. But guess what? This is it. You mess up one more time, you're going straight to juvie. And then they convinced Mount Tacoma to actually let me back in as well. So then I didn't have to go to alternative school. And the blessing is that at the time, Mount Tacoma was one of the lowest performing schools in all the state of Washington. They called it a dropout factory. Most kids just waited till they were 16 so you could legally drop out, and they would drop out. So for me, I was blessed to go back there because the alternative schools were even worse. So, and at the time, Bill Gates and Melinda Gates and the foundation and Warren Buffett started giving what is called an Achiever Scholarship, which is a full ride scholarship to any school in the state of Washington. And they only had to have 3 requirements. You had to be low income, preferably minority, but I don't think they limited it to that. And you have to have average grades. And you have to want to go to college. And it was the first time in my life that it kind of opened the door for college being a possibility. Because I'll be real with you, I wasn't even thinking about college. I was like, nah, that's not for me. Like, I'm a C/D student on my best day. Like, college was an intimidating thing, but I started seeing people that looked like me, that was from where I was from, getting these full scholarships. So I was like, I kind of planted that seed in me. And then the thing I'm most appreciative for, and I can't even make this up, y'all, in order to get back into school, I had 2 conditions. One, I had to do a bunch of community service, which I was already kind of doing. And then 2, I had to go through drug and alcohol counseling because it was an alcohol-related offense. And the drug and alcohol counselor at Mount Tacoma at that time, his name was Mr. Angel. Right? That's crazy. Like, his name was Mr. Angel. And Mr. Angel, you could tell life had beat him down and he had picked himself up. You could tell that he'd been through some stuff just by the way he talked. And so me and him, we hit it off real quick. And he said, he's like, I don't feel like you belong here, man. In our first meeting, he's like, what? Like, how you even get here? And tell him the story, tell him my back history. He was like, man. He's like, if no one in this life has ever told you that you got greatness in you, let me be the first one to say that. You got greatness in you. You don't belong here. But do me a favor. Write down 3 things for me. It was a part of the program that we had to go through. It was like a 16-week program, I believe. We had to go through it. And one of the things was, what do you want out of life? Your goals. So he made me write down 3 things. He was like, the mind of a 15, 16-year-old isn't complex, right? We're not fully developed at that time. So he's like, keep it really simple. Where do you want to work from like a professional perspective? Where do you want to go to school? Like from an education, and not just high school, but secondary education. He goes, and what do you want to do with your personal life? Like, what do you want your life to look like? And this is the first person in my entire life to ask me this question. Like, really put it into my hands. And, and the first thing I did was I started writing down, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to get killed. He's like, that's not what I asked you, bro. I asked you, what do you want? Not what you don't want. So then I switched it up. I was like, all right, well, let me keep it simple. When I was in 8th grade, we went on a field trip, and I don't want to be poor anymore. And I seen a Ferrari parked in the Microsoft parking lot, and I'm like, they must be out money up here, right? When you poor, that's like one of the first things that you think about when you're trying to change your life is how do I get out of my current economic situation? So I was like, all right, I seen a Ferrari, boom, Microsoft. I want to work in Microsoft one day. 2, I'm from the Northwest, Seattle to Tacoma. I was going to be a Husky. There was no if, ands, or buts about it. Coog, you out. I'm not going to Washington State. I ain't doing none of that stuff. And then from a personal life, I was like, I want to be a father. I want to be able to raise a family and be in a family that's loving and supportive and everything that I didn't have. So I wrote it down. He looked at my list. He looked at me. He was like, there is nothing stopping you from accomplishing all these things but you. So I put it in my mind at 16 years old, mind you, just got expelled from school, on probation, in drug and alcohol counseling, and I'm like, I'm going to work at Microsoft. And I remember telling people this. I was so excited because it was the first time in my life I kind of had an idea what I wanted to do, right? And the first step for it was to speak it into existence. So I'd tell my people, bro, I'm about to work at Microsoft. And they look at me like I was crazy. Like, bro, you're not even good with computers. Like, you got like a C- in math. like, good luck, bro. Good luck. I mean, I tell my family, my grandma, and they would tell me things like, have a backup plan. You know, maybe you should widen your scope. Microsoft, you know, that's kind of a bit, I got aspiration. And at the time in my head, I'm thinking like, I'm gonna prove all you haters wrong. Like, I hear what you're saying. I know it's coming from a place of love, but my goal in life is to prove you wrong. And the first step was getting that scholarship. Like, I got my life together, y'all, but I knew what I wanted at this point. When I didn't know what I wanted, I was everywhere. As soon as I knew what I wanted, boom, I want that scholarship. My grades got up, I got into honors classes, I was captain of the soccer team, volunteering, teams against tobacco use in my community, joined student government. Like, I turned this ship around. And I'm like, I need one of those. And I'll tell you right now, one of the proudest moments of my life was getting that scholarship. And the best part was I used my pain and I used my struggle to get the scholarship. Like, instead of writing about, you know, hey, I, was volunteering in my community and this was what's going to make me a better person, I was like, nah, I survived childhood. My pops tried to kill me when I was 14 years old, and he almost succeeded, but I'm still standing. And those essays is how I got the scholarship. So now, boom, full ride scholarship, end of junior year, life's looking good. But guess what? Adversity likes to come back at the most unopportune times. My younger sister, 2 years younger, comes up to me, sophomore in high school, 15 years old. I'm pregnant. I'm keeping it. And I'll tell y'all, man, because at the time I'm looking at colleges. I'm trying to go to UW Seattle because UW Tacoma at the time didn't accept freshmen. They only had transfer programs at UW Tacoma. So I was looking at UW Seattle, but I'd have to move to Seattle. And as soon as my sister told me she was pregnant, I was like, all right, no, you ain't pregnant, we pregnant. I ain't going nowhere. We live with my mom and my stepdad, who we don't even know how they're going to react to this situation, whether they're going to kick her out. We don't know what's going to happen. So I'm like, I need to get a job, I need to be stable, and we're going to take care of this baby. So that's what I did. I talked to a few of my friends. I'm like, where are you going to school? They're like, we're about to go to Pierce College. I'm like, all right, bet. Say less. Let's go. I was like, I'm going to go to Pierce College, get my AA, UW-T, direct transfer. Business school. I'm in. Got a plan. Let's go. I wish it was that easy. I wasn't prepared because when you work full-time and try to go to school full-time, I know some of y'all feel me on this. It's tough. That is one of the toughest things out you can do, man. Anybody that's working and going to school full-time, you have my utmost respect and admiration because I know how tough that is. It's hard to find, prioritize, and balance when you're trying to pay the bills and you're trying to study. I'll be real with y'all, man. It took me 7 years. 7 years to get my 4-year degree. We don't call it Pierce College. We call it Pierce University because you ain't getting out of there in 2 years. But I was lucky, man. I was a student athlete while I was there. I played soccer. I had a great job with a program called Gear Up, gaining early awareness and readiness for college, which I was in the high schools. Just because, again, I know people's situation. I have a deep empathy for what people are going through because I understand what it takes to succeed or be successful to that point at least. So life is going good. My sister has the baby. She moves out at 17, and we actually lived right up here across from St. Joe's on Hilltop off of 19th. I don't know if it's nice now, but back in the day, it was not. Hilltop was not a nice place. Yeah, so we getting there. But it keeps you on your toes. So again, as much as it sounds crazy, I appreciate my father. I'm glad to have gone through. I don't wish it upon no one else, but I'm glad that I went through what I had to go through because I had to learn that grit is the most important thing. So there was an adversity. It's my Gary Vee. I don't know if y'all listen to Gary Vee, but this dude legit. You may want to make sure no kids is in the room because he likes to drop a lot of F-bombs, but he's one of my favorite businessmen and motivational speakers. But he said, adversity is the foundation of success, and I believe that with all my heart. I don't think I would have the fortitude to get through 7 years of school without the lessons and the strength that I got from all the struggle and adversity that I faced. So, but I will say this. Bill Gates, one of my favorite people. One of the things I love about Bill Gates, he's going through some stuff right now, but when it comes to his business acumen, this dude's what I would call a gangster. He is a G. But people often don't know. They look at Microsoft and they see his success. They don't see the failure. His actually first company that he started, Trafo, I think it was called Trafo Data, where they were taking like data from traffic cams and things like that, and then trying to do, build some sort of data models off of them. Epic failure. epic failure. Him and Paul Allen together. They're like, it just didn't work. We tried. But the lessons they learned from that was the foundation that laid and paved the way to Microsoft. The research that they did right at UW in Seattle, they attribute all the research that they did and the lessons they learned through that gave them the motivation to build Microsoft. And again, man, that just resonates with me because I'll be honest with you, man, school was not my thing. 7 years of it, and I struggled. I failed over and over and over again. What I learned is that my mindset regarding failure needed to change. So I was the type of kid, again, as funny as it sounds, so I currently I do statistical analysis to find data and insights in order to help our Azure customers, have a better experience on our platform. Like I'm running statistical analysis across $80 billion systems. I failed statistics twice. I failed quantitative method right here. Because at the end of the day, for me, when I thought about failure, and I used to write this on all my notebooks, failure is not an option. But for me, failure isn't about actually failing a class or doing bad. It's about quitting. You know what I'm saying? I told you, when I went through what I went through with my father, I quit. I quit everything. I was a junior Olympic athlete, y'all. 16th in the nation. That's an All-American. I could have went to college on a scholarship. I quit. I was, again, top of my game in soccer. ODP, Olympic Developmental Program, captain of the state team, on my way to regionals. Quit. I was actually taking acting classes at a studio up in Bellevue, trying to get a career in that. Quit. And at some point, when I got in trouble and I had to go through the alcohol counseling and I met Mr. Angel, I decided I'm not going to be a quitter no more. I'm not a victim. I'm going to turn my pain and I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to go somewhere in my life. I already know where I want to go. UW, Microsoft. I got a path. I got a vision. Now, no one believed in it, but as long as I believed in it, that's all that really matters. So there was a study done. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Angela Duckworth. 2013, they did a TED Talk about grit. So they did a study across, I think it was the south side of Chicago, thousands of students. They gave them a survey, and they were trying to measure what was the difference between the kids that graduated versus the kids that didn't graduate. And was it IQ? Was it home life? Was it economic situation? What was it that some kids succeeded and some kids didn't? And what they found was it wasn't the IQ, it wasn't the home life, it wasn't that a kid had a better, upbringing. It was grit. It was their ability for them to be able to find perseverance and passion for long-term goals, to be able to sustain it across a long time. And it's tough, y'all. Again, 7 years. For someone that hated school, 7 years was a long time. But I failed that class, I come back the next quarter. I failed that class, I come back next quarter. And I challenge y'all, straight up. I know what y'all going through. I've been here. I know the struggle, the energy, the time, the sweat, the tears that goes into trying to succeed in this school. For real. And you got my respect because you chose this. You chose to do this. That's when I say there's greatness in every single one of you. You chose this. That's what tells me. Because y'all could have went to an easier discipline. There's easier majors out there, but you wanted a business degree. And I'm assuming you want it for a reason. And grit is what's going to get you there. Staying with it and sustaining for a long period of time when it gets hard. Because it's going to get hard, y'all. I'll be honest. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would graduate with a great degree. Everybody would work at Microsoft. Everybody would make six figures. It's not easy. In my neighborhood, there was a study done, College Success Foundation did a study. If you are from a low-income, underperforming school minority, you have a less than 8% chance of making it. Not just making it, but going to a secondary education. That means out of 100 students, 8 are going to go to college. And of those 8, maybe half of those are going to graduate. So again, I was going to get some odds here. But I truly believe that grit is what got me through it. Jack Ma, anybody know who this is? Again, rejected from Harvard 9 times. Failed his exams all the way through his life. Everyone considered him a loser, like for real. Everyone counted him out. 37 jobs he either quit or got fired from, I heard, or like got denied. And now he's a multi-billionaire, runs one of the biggest companies in the entire world, Alibaba, Amazon's main competition. And he attributes it to never giving up. I love that. Giving up is the greatest failure, and I truly believe that. So do me a favor, even though we've been judged by A to F, and that's how we kind of determine what's failure and what's not, that's not, in the bigger scheme of things, that's not what it is. Change your mindset for me, please. Do me a favor. Like, when you think about failure, think of it in a way that you're going to learn something from it, and you come back for some more. Again, when I failed statistics, I knew I was going to fail statistics halfway through the course. I failed the first exam, I failed the pop quiz, and then I failed the midterm. And at that point, my boy is sitting there, and he's like, T, man, why are you still coming to class? You failed. Like, it's done. It's a wrap, bro. Like, go play video games. Do so much of your time. I'm like, nah, bro. I'm just getting a head start on next quarter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just getting a head start. Next quarter, killed it. B+. And in my world, that's an A+. You know what I'm saying? Like, I graduated with a 2.7 GPA. Like, when they say C's get degrees, I should be the poster child. I should be on, right? I should be on one of those back there, like, impact goal, 2.7. But what I learned is that my diploma didn't say my GPA. And I ain't gonna lie, guys. I work with some of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. I work with people from Harvard, Stanford, Ivy League schools. They smarter than me. They can critically think better than me. They can write better than me, but they ain't got more grit than me. They ain't gonna outwork me. It's funny, I told you I got a new job. I'm leaving my job and I'm going to a new job on Monday. And the funny thing is that going to this new job, I had an exit interview with my boss, and my boss is like, T, we're gonna miss you. I'm like, you gonna miss me? I'm like, you got some data scientists over here that can do this work, run circles around me. Like, you ain't gonna miss me. I was like, she wasn't like, we're gonna miss you because of your ability to do data statistical analysis and create insights. She's like, nah, we're gonna miss you because of your energy. We're gonna miss you because of your attitude, your can-do attitude. We're gonna miss you because when things get hard, people look to you to solve problems and help build bridges and bring people together. Again, I'm in engineering. I'm a marketing student, and I'm in engineering. I'm not in engineering because of my engineering capabilities. I'm in engineering because of my ability to build relationships. And as you go through business, this college will teach you the skills you need to succeed. It will give you the right skill set. It will teach you how to work in groups. It will teach you how to work toward deadlines. It will teach you how to write. Like, they will give you a lot of things. But what they cannot give you is the ability to really build relationships. And they can't give you the grit to persevere when things get hard, because things are going to get hard. Real quick, I know we're running short on time, but this right here, this is actually a photo of the office building where I got my start. Like, I went and took a picture of it. This bench right here. So I graduated in 2010, no network, didn't know how to get into Microsoft, didn't know what I was going to do. And then I met a guy that said that, hey, this company called Sogeti is hiring contractors. So there's 2 types of employment at Microsoft. There's contractors and full-time employees. The best way to get in is to get in through contracting. If you're not have a technical background. I'm like, all right, bet, say less. I'm there. Apply online, no answer. How many people applied to jobs and never got an answer back? All right, so y'all feel me on this. So like, apply again, no answer, no answer, no answer. So I'm like, you know what? I ain't taking no for an answer. I put on my suit, I printed out my resume, and I went there. And so I want to walk y'all through this with me. So that's the door in the back. As I'm walking up to the door, I'm like, all right, I just got to get through the receptionist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll talk to the receptionist, give her my 10-second elevator pitch, she'll get me a recruiter, and we in. I go in, there's no receptionist. I'm like, maybe she's on lunch, or maybe he's on lunch. I'm looking at the desk, I'm like, I don't think they got a receptionist. And then there's a door to the left. I'm like, all right, cool. There's a doorbell. I'm going to ring the doorbell. Doorbell is unplugged. I'm like, dang, like, what's going on? All right, you know what? I'm going to knock. Knocked a couple times, no answer. All right, I'm gonna go wait. I sat on that bench for 2.5 hours. And I ain't gonna sit here and act like I sat on that bench with confidence. I sat there like, what am I doing? Like, who does this? Like, this is a little bit crazy, but I want it bad. So I'm sitting on that bench, and I'm thinking, everything's going through my head. My dad telling me I'm a loser, people telling me I can't do it, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to getting a job at Microsoft. So I sat there for 2.5 hours. I got so fortunate. A young lady walks out and says, walks right by me, excuse me, miss. Do you work for this company, Sojeti? She's like, I do. I was like, my name's Thomas. I just graduated with a business degree. I really want to get into consulting, IT consulting. Could you do me a favor? Is an opportunity for you to go get me a recruiter? And bro, I must have, talk about she's the nicest person in the world. I ain't gonna lie, because I don't even know if someone did that, I don't even know if I would have did that. Went back, and she's like, okay, follow me. Leaves me in the reception area, goes and gets the recruiter. 5 minutes go by, I'm nervous, bro. My palms are sweating. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to say. My 10-second elevator pitch is kind of just going out the window at this point. And she didn't actually do this, but this is what it felt like. She just busts through the door. And he goes, who are you and what do you want? I was like, oh man, she intimidated from the get. I'm like, my name's Thomas Bressler. I just graduated from the University of Washington, Milgard School of Business. I really want to work for Microsoft and be in IT consulting. I heard this is the place to be. It's like, She goes, well, what do you want? What do you want at the end of the day? I was like, well, to be honest with you, I don't want to lie to you. I really want to work at Microsoft as an employee. But I have a business degree, and I heard that this consulting is the best way to get in. So then she's like, okay. We went through a couple back and forth, and then she gave me her card. I'm like, okay, I'm in. She didn't know that I was in, but I knew I was in at that point. So I would call her and email her once a week for a couple months. What you need? Y'all need a receptionist. I'll work for free. I was like, you need someone to vacuum the floors, make the coffee, wash the windows? What you need? I'll do it all for free. I just want to be in the building. Just let me in the building. I want to see what goes on here. So, a couple months go by. She don't have nothing. Nothing pops up. And then finally, something pops up. And I think, she may not have ever admit this, but I think she came to the realization she wasn't going to get rid of me. Right? I wasn't going nowhere. You my hottest lead, my warmest lead, I'm on it. And so she finally was like, you know what? I have a opportunity that I think you'd be good for. Come on in. Went to the interview. Again, wish I could say the rest was history. Nah. In the interview, I bombed it. I was so nervous, I bombed it. So the girl in the interview looks at me, or the young lady in the interview looks at me and goes, you should probably go do something else for a couple years and come back to this. You're not ready for this. Again, I could have took what she said and did what she told me to do, but I was like, nah, I just don't feel like I articulated myself very well. I'll be back. But the account executive liked my energy so much that he's like, you know what, that's not a good fit, we're going to put you over there. Boom, I'm in. 2011, I get my first contract job at Microsoft. 2 weeks later, my significant other, who I met in Mount Tacoma High School, graduated from Pierce College, went to UW with me, she's in. You know what I'm saying? 2 of my boys are in. Tacoma folk, y'all know about us. If you leave that door open, bro, we holding it open, and we getting as many people in as we can. We trying to build our community out here. So, I'm in consulting, I'm killing it, and I'll be honest with you, at that point, I could have been satisfied. I could be like, you know what, I'm good. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I love consulting. I think it's I think it's amazing. I think it affords so much opportunity. But the reality was, it felt like I was in the minors. I was right there, right? I'm at the Tacoma Rainiers, I'm trying to get to the Mariners. And what I realized was that I was so focused on trying to get that full-time job with Microsoft that I wasn't paying attention to everything else around me. I wasn't building relationships, I wasn't networking. So where I'm from, you're told, just work really hard. You work really hard, you'll get noticed, and someone will give you an opportunity. I'm here to tell you that's not how it works. I love the things back here because it talks about impact goals. You have to be able to articulate your impact. What do you do, and why is it important, and why should this person care? For real. We don't get measured at Microsoft about how much we do. I can't go into my boss's office I worked really, really hard this year. Can I get a raise and a promo? Nah. What was your impact? What did you do for our customers? What did you do for our bottom line? Right? How did you help with our strategy? These are the things. What was your impact? So, real quick, I just want to leave you with, I don't have the secret to success. I don't know what it takes to be successful. Again, I was in consulting for 6 years, 6.5 years. I've been with Microsoft for 4 now as a full-time employee. What I can say is that number one step is get clear on your vision. If you don't know what you want, then you're just going to go around life and stumble. I'm going to be honest with you. Get clear on exactly what you want. And that could change over time, but have a vision. I got lucky. Mr. Angel helped me with my vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, he helped me write that down. And it took 16 years, y'all. Like, it took 16 years. From the time I was 16 years old to say that I want to work at Microsoft, right? It took me 16 years. I was 32 years old when I signed my first Microsoft contract. But be clear on your vision. Number 2, know your why. Why do you do what you do? It's going to get hard. Your why is what's going to keep you grounded. Steve Jobs said it best. The reason why you need to know your why and your purpose is because when it gets tough and you want to quit, your why is what's going to keep you going. I had a why. My why is to be the example in my neighborhood that wasn't there for us. No one believed I could work at Microsoft because no one in my neighborhood ever worked at Microsoft. They didn't think it was possible. Of course they're going to laugh in my face and tell me I'm crazy, because no one did it. Especially a kid that's been through, an at-risk use like what I went through, right? Like, I didn't study computer science. I wasn't good at math. Like, I had none of what they thought it needed to work at Microsoft, but I knew my why, right? Number 1 was I want to prove everybody wrong. Number 2 was I want to be the example in my neighborhood so I go back. I speak in Mount Tacoma. I go back to Pierce. I come to UW-T. Like, I make sure y'all see my face. Like, I'm in business school. Now I'm in Microsoft engineering. If I can do it, y'all can do it too. And then 3rd was to make sure that the people coming behind me knew the blueprint. I'm trying to create a blueprint, a process that we can go through. I'm happy to say I feel like it's working. My younger sister, teenage mom, 5 kids, got her degree at like 28. She came in. She's in the military, in the Air Force. They came back from New Mexico. I'm like, all right, bet. You got your degree? All right, we get you a Sojeti. I told her how to network, what to do. She was there for 2 years, full-time employee. That's progress. It took me almost 7 years. She did it in 2. That's progress. My boy, I love him to death. His only downfall is he's a coug. I don't know why he went to Washington State, but he decided to. He just got his offer. He graduated school, came with us, started working in consulting. 3 years, 8 months, he just got his Microsoft offer. And he has a fashion degree from Wazoo. Bill Gates said it best. It don't matter what degree you get, as long as you get a degree. But if you get a business degree and you're going the extra mile, I'm telling you right now, you're setting yourself up for success. The 3rd one, teamwork makes the dream work. I teach this to my son. I'll be straight up with you. You show me any successful person, I'll show you someone that helped them. Steve Jobs, Wozniak, Bill Gates, Paul Allen, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. You ain't doing it by yourself. I've been very fortunate to meet enough people in my life that have helped me and guide me. Like my mentor, man, this guy named Dave Chin, been in the game 25 years. I wouldn't be working for Microsoft if it wasn't for him. I got mentors, I got friends, and my job is to pass that information down the line. So again, build a community. If you don't have a community to join, you be the community. You start building it. There's a reason why my sister, my girl, my best friend, my cousin, 2 of my homies all work in Microsoft or in contract consulting. We build in a community. The last one is patience. Oof, this is the big one, y'all. And I don't know, man, like, people, I hear, like, the reports talk about how, like, this generation is impatient because social media. I think a big part of it is we tend to compare ourselves to other people. Right? Oh, this person graduated and they're doing well. I should be doing the same thing. Don't be on no one else's pace. Be on y'all pace, your time. It'll happen when it happens. Don't feel like you need to be, in par with someone else, because they don't know you. They don't know your struggle. Again, patience. 7 years to get a 4-year degree. Patience. 16 years to make my dream come true. Patience. You know what I'm saying? So, like, everything happens for a reason, and it'll be on your time. And that's all I have. I appreciate you guys coming today. Thank you so much.